I've been hearing about a revenue portfolio. What is that? Oh my gosh. That, my friends, that is turbo fuel. Why do I keep going to car metaphors? Because I don't have a lot of knowledge about cars, and as well as other metaphors of things that I know nothing about. I need a better metaphor set. Music. I know lots about music. Knowing about a revenue portfolio is like, I need a good music metaphor. Getting your piano tuned. Where all of a sudden the noise, oh, this is going someplace. All of a sudden the noise of the competing sound waves and the overtones, all of those things that can create a lot of noise, all that, the difference tones, all of those things are eliminated, and you hear the fundamentals. Oh, I should stick with music metaphors much more frequently. It's my thing. It's the thing that I did before I was a CPA. Music metaphors. Why have I been going to wood and cars? Okay. A revenue portfolio really brings out some important trends as well as pitfalls to avoid and opportunities to capture. A revenue portfolio can be depicted as a pie chart. And why not? Because any conversation involving pie is a worthy conversation. So how do you divide up your pie? You can divide it up and should be dividing it up in a variety of ways in order to see if there's anything worth capturing or anything worth having a course correction to avoid a cash crunch or a difficult situation. And here's what I'm talking about. You can look at revenue by customer. You can look at individual contributions by donor, sponsorships by company name. You can look at revenue flows you can look at total revenues by the type of revenue. Services revenue, products revenue, passive revenue, let's say, or actually that's a different kind of a model. Products and services, for example. Service providers, you can look at project revenue versus recurring services revenue. You can look at active revenue versus leverage revenue versus passive revenue. All of this is a framework. You can look at revenue by geography of client, patient, donor. You can look at revenue by customer type. And this is what you do with the information that you get. You ask yourself a couple of key questions. How risky is our revenue situation, and how efficient is our revenue situation? And best case scenario, you do an 80-20 analysis, which you can do if you have enough elements in your list, enough services. If you only have 2 services, you can't really do an 80-20 analysis. But if you have a list of 20 services or 5,000 customers or 2,000 donors, if you have a list of 100 cities in which you sell, if the list is large enough, you can do an analysis by 80-20 rule, and that will tell you whether you're optimized for risk and efficiency. And here's what I mean by that. If all of your revenue comes from one customer, wow, you know your company's in trouble, right? If that customer should pass away, make a different choice, if something should change and that customer is no longer your customer, you're out of business. Unless you pivot quickly. On the other hand, if you have $100,000 of revenue from a particular service or product or in your whole business, and you have 100,000 customers, that means each customer is paying you $1. How much time do you have to spend creating sales efforts for each customer to only pay you $1? My gosh, if you spent half the time and had some customers paying $5, $20, $50, $5,000, if you had some superstar customers, it would be a lot more efficient for your sales process. But if you go to the opposite end of the spectrum, too efficient, well, we want to spend the minimum amount of time selling, so we're just going to have one customer, then the pendulum swings back to super risky. So long story short, a revenue portfolio can show you where you have more opportunity to be more efficient and not spend and not work so hard in your sales cycle, and where you have an opportunity to diversify and reduce risk, or better said, to reduce risk by diversifying. Another aspect can be a lot of time savings and cost savings. That's another benefit of doing revenue analysis or putting together a revenue portfolio. Because if you realize, my gosh, of all our customers, 20% of the customer base is responsible for, let's say, 75% of the revenue instead of 80%, or let's say 20% of our services, even better, are responsible for, say, 70% of our income. That's great. That's pretty well optimized for risk and efficiency. However, what about that other 10%? The 80-20 rule, right? So if you're going to get in a ballpark, it could mean that you're offering 10 different services in your company that are generating hardly any revenue. And if they're not also acting as a gateway to do cross-sells to other services, stop providing those services. Say no, cut the cord, say we're ending this program, we're graduating this program, come up with any way to describe it that you want. Because don't forget, every service that you offer requires time and or money in order to provide. You're going to have a different set of processes to manage and to create, to manage, to keep evolved. And if it's not bringing in a lot of money, stop providing those services and go with your superstar services, right? The ones that are bringing in a lot of money, helping you and your team create a lot of impact in the world. And then you have some ancillary services. That's fine. That rounds out the portfolio. So that's what I wanted to share with you today about a revenue portfolio. I hope that there are lots of people watching this video who have some great aha moments and say, man, I'm going to take a look at the revenue portfolio that we're looking at here and see where we're too risky or where we could afford to take some more risks because it's really inefficient.